Welcome back. Here we are with Brenda Lewis. Brenda Lewis has a CD out called Jazz Like. See that beautiful woman? She's sitting right here. I want to welcome you here, and we're going to play some music. By the way, did you hear that? That was her. That was her as we were transitioning over here. Brenda, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show.
Well,
I am thrilled.
Well, I'm very thrilled that you asked me. That was a surprise.
Oh, good. Very good. Well, as you know, this whole show is about people who have gifts, people who have lives of interest, and how have they taken these lives and turned them into something that's making the world a better place. Mm. I have invited you because I've been following you a little, not stalker kind of.
I know that.
But I know that, yes, you have the gift with your music, but you're a complicated creature. You do a whole lot of things. So let's first find out, who are you? Tell us about you.
That's a tall order.
Yeah, it's a tall order. Tell me about your music, first of all. How'd you get into that?
Okay, as far as the music goes, it wasn't something I ever planned. It wasn't some big dream from childhood. Visual art was what I did. I won all the art awards all the way through school. I started going through for fine art, switched to business when I realized that it might not be possible to make a living drawing and painting. Went through for public relations and had secretly in the back of my mind that I'd love to do media relations in the music industry. And, it was just kind of percolating there. And it took a few years for that to happen. Everything kind of changed when I was about 26, 27. Can't remember the years anymore. And the opportunity came up. The revolution happened in Czechoslovakia. The Berlin Wall came down. And I heard from a friend that there was a program that had been set up to get the first English as a second language teachers over to Czechoslovakia.
What was your interest in Czechoslovakia? Why?
My father's Czech, he was from there. Mm-hmm. He was born and raised there and had to leave in 1939, was sent to safety in England to save him from the Holocaust. Mm-hmm. So, I'd never had a chance to go there because it wasn't safe to go there.
Right.
When you walked into Czechoslovakia during the years of communism, they could keep you for any reason. My dad couldn't go back. So I jumped at the opportunity to go and teach English there. And when I taught English there, I realized that the people I was teaching was mostly university students. They really responded to music. They love music. They're very cultured people. And what I started doing, because it was safe, I started.
Speak English.
Yes, because not everybody spoke English at my level. Mm-hmm. I started teaching them Canadian folk songs. Everything from "Land of the Silver Birch," onwards, and they just loved it. And I got very comfortable just singing with people. And by the end of the trip, I was performing a little bit. Then I came back to Canada, and ended up kind of starting to get a little more brave. I was at, people's parties, or maybe a jam session or a kitchen party at the end of the night, and I'd start getting up and singing with people, the band, they were set up. And people just finally started saying, would you get out of our kitchen and go sing somewhere? Why aren't you doing this?
Different kind of house event.
Yeah, and I finally said to myself, why aren't I doing this? And then I just kind of went at it full, blasting ahead, and started to do some open stages at folk clubs and the Mel Brown blues jams. And it just went from there. There was never any real fear involved.
Awesome. So this was a pivotal time. Here you are, 26, 27 years old.
Yeah.
You were gone 6 months, right?
6 months.
Yeah. You go there as one person and come back with a musical bug. What else has changed a little bit?
At that point, too, when you live in a post-communist country where everything has been controlled, you really come to appreciate your freedoms, your right to vote. The first free election happened while I was there, and there were something like 14 parties. So it was a real fear of the communists getting back into power because they were allowed to run, too. But you really come to appreciate the rights that you have. Everything from just doing what you do every day, walking down the street, not being interrupted. Mm-hmm. I got in trouble for lying on the grass in a park while I was there.
Really?
That was interesting. Yeah, 2 sets of big boots came up to me, and they're going, no, and passport. They wanted to see my passport because I was lying on the grass. So, but I really started to appreciate that people deserve to have rights. Everybody needs to have the same rights, and that's carried forward.
Very good. So you came back with the musical bug. You came back with an appreciation for our democracy, Canadian life. It's fabulous here.
Mm-hmm.
You came back to
With a real worldview.
A real big world
And
view.
wanting to see it more and wanting to do more.
Traveler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wanting to help more, just wanting to make a difference.
Well, that's what I want to hear about. Tell me about some of the things, the activities, and the ones that are closest to your heart, because I know you dabble in a few. What, what's nearest and dearest to your heart?
Oh, there are a few. Certainly one of them is really helping to empower women, teenage girls.
And how do you do this?
Young girls. I've done a fair bit of speaking and doing workshops, and I've also actually written a song or two, and it's about accepting yourself the way you are. You know, not buying into the pressures of how society and the media and magazines tell you should look, this whole photoshopped world. Being happy whatever size you are, whether you're bigger, whether you're skinny as a rake. You're fine how you are. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, the message, as long as you're healthy, exactly, as long as you're doing it in a healthy way and keeping active.
Yes.
That's one way. That's one thing that I'm very involved in. I'm also very involved in human rights issues, both here and social justice, both here and in numerous foreign countries. As I said before, I really believe that everybody deserves to have the same rights, no matter where you are, whether you're poor, whether you're marginalized, it doesn't matter. You know, it starts at home and it has to go further.
Do you honestly believe, Brenda, that small town Ontario girl can actually make an impact in the Sudan?
Sure.
Do you really?
In small ways. It comes down to a whole lot of people doing even one little thing that makes a difference. I really believe that the more people who get involved, who stop living in their little bubble and in their own little self-centered world and looking out at the world around them. Best way I can put it is I can't close my eyes.
Nice.
I can't go around with blinders on. And that's how I was raised. I was raised to, you know, to really look out for the underdog. My dad's experience of being, you know, saved, you know, by a very unassuming person who just... One person who set up a whole objective, a whole program to get 700 Czech Jewish kids out to safety in Britain.
Yeah. See,
And
that's my position. That's my concern always, is people will not vote. People will not get involved. People will not speak up. People will not sign the petition. They won't make a statement because there is such a level of cynicism, such a level of...
Well, then they don't have a right to complain. That's where I get feisty. You said I'm feisty? You don't vote, you don't, you know, if you don't vote, this is, you know, it's a privilege. So you can't complain about anything that happens after an election if you don't vote. But on the other hand, there are people who aren't as strong internally, emotionally, or maybe have a reason to be afraid to speak up, whether it's a valid reason or whether it's something that they have put upon themselves. And there have to be other people who have the courage to speak up. If you feel like you have the courage to stand up for somebody else, you know, it could just be in a situation, you know, on the street. And it can be something much bigger. But there have to be people, those of us who do have the courage should. And as I said, it's not everybody's cup of tea or not everybody's gift. Everyone has their own gifts.
Absolutely. And you don't always have to be the leader.
No.
You need a whole lot of followers to change the world.
Absolutely.
But it always takes one.
Exactly.
And one voice. I get so frustrated when people say, it's not going to make any difference. One person changed the course of the lives of 700 people who have all gone on and changed thousands.
Yeah, that was Nicholas Winton.
Nicholas Winton.
Nicholas Winton, who's now 103 almost.
Wow.
So some of the good don't die young. Some of them stick around for a long time.
Very nice. Well, I don't know where we're going to end up then. Anyway, so you're a fascinating woman. You do fascinating things, and you have strong positions. And are you blessed besides your music? I mean, clearly you can are you a millionaire and you can go out and change everything? Are you related to Bill Gates and have access to all kinds of resources?
No, none of the above.
You're
I'm just a regular person who happens to be able to make music and has the ability to write and communicate.
Beautiful.
So I try to use my powers for good, I guess.
And use the gifts you get.
Yeah, and I mean, I really feel that if you do reach that point where you have some, some serious cash in the bank and you do become well known, there is responsibility that goes with it. I really admire those people who are, well-known musicians or actors or whoever they are, who get out there and do the dirty work, who go to the countries where tough things are happening and come back and talk about it, and don't always say the things that are considered popular to Hollywood or wherever. And there are a few people who do that. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, more than a few. It's getting better.
Mm-hmm. No, it's gorgeous.
And it's a good example for just the average Joe, too.
Mm-hmm. So when we were talking earlier, you were telling me how you really believe that one of the most powerful ways that we can use our gifts is to identify and really glorify almost our authentic self, just be real. Is that true?
Definitely.
For you?
Well, who else are you going to be?
Everybody's trying to be somebody. Not everybody.
Well,
a lot of people.
We're in this society that values celebrity. People worship celebrity. You hear the latest so-and-so is broken up, and I turn off my TV as soon as that stuff comes on, if I happen to have the TV on.
Yeah.
I have an excuse to watch TV. I'm a publicist, I have to know. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I get people.
TV too.
I get people in the news. That's my other job. That's actually what I do.
Okay.
But during the daytime, sitting on the computer. But yeah, you do have to. I'm losing my train of thought. You do have to.
About your authentic self.
Yeah, you do have to. You do have to be yourself, because you know what? People can tell when you aren't.
Totally.
It's very easy to spot that.
Mm-hmm. I've been doing my corporate training for 22 years, and just yesterday I was with a client, and at the end of the session, the question was, "Do you love your job?" And they were talking it in the group, and every single individual group came back with, one thing we know for sure is that Liz loves her job, and you can't hide who you are. People know who you are by how you look at them, by how you interact with them, and being your authentic self and using your authentic gifts, and in your case, your music and your passion. Is passion a gift?
In some ways it is. I mean,
Can you fake passion? Not that kind of passion.
I know that. Yes, you can. No, you can't.
Focus.
Yes, focus. I know. I asked you to make me do that. No, seriously. No, I don't think you can.
No,
I think that if you're really passionate about anything that you do, it will come through. And it can be a quiet passion. You don't have to be the loudest person or going on and on about something. If you're committed to something and you feel strongly about it, no matter what it is in life.
Yep.
Of course, it comes through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether it's protection of animals or
Exactly.
it is design or it is changing the world, as long as it's for real and your
That's all that matters.
agenda is clean, you can make anything happen. Another thing that you said to me that you really believe is important to, use your gifts well is to sort of step out of your comfort zone. What are your thoughts on comfort zones?
Comfort zones. Well, I think it's often, at least in the adult life, I think so many of us, because we're told to, we saw our parents, slip into the same job and do the same job for 30 years or 40 years. And that's just the way people did things after World War II. It was all about stability and raising a family. And I'm not putting that down at all. I admire my parents for that way, and so many other people. But I found for me, I got myself kind of caught up in the cosmetic industry for a few years. And it was comfortable. I was very good at my job. But it got to be empty after a while. And I still dabble in it once in a while. I still go out and do demonstration work here and there in the stores. You'll see me surprisingly pop up somewhere selling you something. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but I was in it full time for quite a while in the prestige end. But there's a point where you know, you can end up doing things you didn't plan on doing, but they're comfortable, they pay the rent, and you just keep doing it. And all kinds of people get into those jobs. It could be any field. And sometimes you just have to step back and go, you know, I don't know how much life is left. Nobody does. Am I going to do what I really want to do?
And being in that job paid the bills and had predictability and stability. But to become the Brenda Lewis, who was born to be Brenda Lewis, jazz singer and feisty, needed to step out from behind the counter.
Yeah, and in my case, it was literally from the cosmetic counter to packing everything up and, you know, giving two weeks' notice at my job in Ottawa at Holt Renfrew and basically going to the unknown. And all kinds of lessons were learned. All you have to do is take that one step. That was a pretty big step, but for everyone it's a different.
Most people get scared off by. Yeah.
But everything changed after that. And it's kept changing. It's never boring.
So this kind of goes back actually to what we were just talking about in terms of resilience. Bad stuff will happen, and you take that leap, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it's an immediate, fabulous experience, but even when it doesn't work out,
you're going to learn something, and you're going to end up in another direction. You just don't know what.
Yeah. So tell me, work-wise, what's going on with your music?
Oh boy. Let me think about those. All kinds of things. I'm doing my first concert in Ottawa in a very long time. November 4th, I'm going to be playing at a jazz club in Ottawa, sort of the jazz club. Oh, Cafe Paradiso. And that's a homecoming kind of concert because I actually haven't done a show back home in about 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, my father died 4 years ago, and I think it's sort of been being ready to do that, you know, because he was at my last show back home. So I'm ready now, and it's time.
To celebrate Dad in Ottawa.
Exactly. Playing in Toronto. Well, I guess that's where we are.
Back to the Ottawa show.
Yes.
Can people buy tickets?
They actually just come to the door.
Excellent.
Yeah, there is a cover. It's a dinner club. And the info's all on my websites, which I think you've been flashing on the screens. So
Yes.
Yes.
Brenda Lewis. Go on.
Oh, let's see.
So what's happening in Toronto?
In Toronto, I'll be playing at a neat little spot called Edo. It's a sort of a Japanese sushi restaurant, really nice spot, and I'll be playing with a guitarist I've worked with for years, Tony Quarrington. We'll be doing a jazz trio. That's November 24th. And tonight, Margaret Stowe, who you're going to be hearing any minute now. My other fabulous guitarist that I work with, Marg is actually the engineer and mostly producer. I did some producing, but she did. You know, she's the one with the amazing technical skills who helped me to put together this album. And we'll be performing tonight at Cambridge. I have a house gig at a place called Montage Lounge every other Friday in Cambridge. Tomorrow night it's Alora.
Busy girl.
I'm all over the place.
Very excellent.
Doing a gospel concert next week. That just came up out of nowhere.
Yeah, you were telling how excited this is. Tell me about this.
Yeah, it's one I did about 3 years ago, and I've been asked to sub in. They had to change their format a bit, so I have to pull out some of the old songs, learn a few more. It's going to be a very, very busy week.
Well, you're doing what you love, so that's what's
and mainly
important.
I'm just trying to work on touring. I'm working on doing some Western touring, BC, Calgary. I'm starting to work up my contacts.
Nice. Well, it's a beautiful story when I see men, women, people who take the experiences, good or bad, and use them to make this planet a little bit of a better place. And I love that feisty, militant woman who is out there, and I also love your music. So I'm thankful so much that you came and were on the show. I'm also really excited to have Margaret join you and play along. And what are you going to sing for us today?
Margaret and I are going to do No Moon at All.
There's a little history on that song?
I don't know that much about it. I actually picked it up off of an old CD of Julie London tunes. Julie London's just one of my very favorite. I consider her sort of the torch diva of the 50s.
Is that what you are, a torch diva?
Kind of
She's in you a little
an
bit?
earthy granola torch diva, but you know, no heels higher than.
Got it.
Otherwise I fall over.
I hear you. Awesome. Okay, well, what we're going to do is just take a second and let you two get set up, and looking forward to hearing this song.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
I
It
think-
is just a pleasure to meet you finally.
Yeah, we've
After all these months.
all these months. Anyway, thanks. Margaret, come on over. You guys come get set up.
But I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, you're not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Baby, no, not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Hey, hey, well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, you know, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, you're not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Baby, no, not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Hey, hey, well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, babe, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Honey, you're not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Baby, no, not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Hey, hey, well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Not the only one for me. It don't feel right anymore. You're not the only one. You're not the only one. Not the only one for me. No, no, no. You're not the only one. You're not the only one. Not the only one for me. When you were young and on your own, how did it feel to be alone? I was always thinking of games that I was playing, trying to make the best of my time. But only love can break your heart. Try to be sure right from the start. Yes, only love can break your heart. What if your world should fall apart? hides his head inside a dream. Someone should call him and see if he can come out. Try to lose the down that he's found, but only love can break your heart. Try to be sure right from the start. Yes, only love can break your heart. What if your world should fall apart?
Ready for a little bit of Brenda Lewis and Margaret Stowe playing No Moon at All. Thank you.
No moon at all, what a night. Even lightning bugs have dimmed their light. Stars have disappeared from sight, and there's no moon at all. Don't make a sound, it's so dark. Even Fido is afraid to bark. What a perfect chance to park, and there's no moon at all. If you need atmosphere for inspiration, dear, one kiss will make it clear that tonight is right and bright, moonlight might interfere. No moon at all up above. This is nothing like they told us of. Just to think we fell in love, and there's no moon at all. No moon at all, what a night. Even lightning bugs have dimmed their light. Stars have disappeared from sight, and there's no moon at all. Don't make a sound, it's so dark. Even Fido is afraid to bark. What a perfect chance to park, and there's no moon at all. If you need atmosphere for inspiration, dear, one kiss will make it clear that tonight is bright and bright, moonlight might interfere. No moon at all up above. This is nothing like they told us of. Just to think we fell in love, and there's no moon at all. No moon at all. No moon at all. No moon.
Gorgeous. Thank you. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Brenda. Here's what I hope, that this will be on YouTube in a very short time, and I want the entire Czech Republic to see what happened.
That could be arranged.
It could be arranged. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for tuning in today on ThatChannel.com or on YouTube or on LizMcCallum.com or wherever you have found us. Thank you so much. This show doesn't exist without you. So if you have any suggestions for people who you think would be amazing, who have incredible stories, please email me at liz@lizmccallum.com. It's the simplest email ever. And you convince them to come on and I will interview them. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you to Hugh and everybody here. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
All babies together, everyone a seed. Half of us are satisfied, half of us in need. Love's bountiful in us, tarnished by our greed. Oh, when will there be a harvest for the world? A nation planted, so concerned with gain. As the seasons come and go, greater grows the pain. And far too many feeling the strain. Don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, you're not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Baby, no, not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Hey, hey, well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, you know, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Well, you're not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Baby, no, not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Hey, hey, well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Don't you know it don't feel right? Well, I love you, babe, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? Honey, you're not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Baby, no, not the only one, not the only one, not the only one for me. Hey, hey, well, I love you, but I just can't seem to go through with it. When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right? When I hold you, don't you know it don't feel right?